And it's now my great honour to turn to Mr. Jean Ziegler, who is a member of the Human Rights Council Advisory Committee. So thank you so much for being with us today. We'd be very pleased to learn from you about the ways in which you can see better dialogue and international cooperation for the promotion of human rights contributes to peace building.
In some of its aspects, the economic order of the world is absurd and deadly. The main actors in the globalized economy today, those who determine its economic development, are no longer states, but rather private transcontinental corporations. These corporations have a power that no emperor, no king, no pope has ever held over this planet. And it is these corporations which exercise the true power throughout the planet.
I did the floor to the United Nations Watch, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Peace building and human rights are indivisible. As the UN Charter makes clear, maintaining peace and security requires preventing the outbreak of violence in the first place. We believe that UN human rights mechanisms, if they work properly, have a critical role to play. If they work properly, this Council can spotlight human rights abuses, scrutinize country records, and ensure accountability. All of this would act as an early warning system. One of the classic case studies today of a state that desperately needs peace building is Libya. The country has around 1,500 different militias. The human rights situation is catastrophic. Carjackings and shootings in broad daylight are common. An EU report states that human rights defenders, journalists, and judges are being assassinated. Women won't approach the police for fear they could be murdered or raped. The situation is so bad that UNHCR won't send international staff. Now, I would like to ask the panel, could UN mechanisms have played a role to confront the 4 decades of gross and systematic human rights abuse by the regime of Colonel Qaddafi that preceded the situation we have today, who used to torture dissidents and rape university students after he would lecture on campus? Could the UN draw lessons from how Colonel Qaddafi's regime in 2003 became chair of this body's predecessor, and how in 2010 it again became a member of this council? Are there lessons to be learned from how Colonel Qaddafi's Geneva representative became one of this Council's independent experts, and also the chair of this Council's Durban Review Conference on Racism? Finally, I have a question for the panel member, who in 1989 co-founded the Muammar Gaddafi Human Rights Prize, and who went to Tripoli on September 29, 2002, to himself receive that prize. Given that this Council eventually reversed its policy on the Qaddafi regime and suspended Libya in 2011 for gross and systematic abuses, do you regret your actions? The Swiss media reported that the 2002 prize was worth 100,000 Swiss francs. Would you consider returning these funds to the Libyan people to promote human rights and peace for all men and women living there? Thank you, Mr. President.